Good morning. This is Mark Lefebvre from the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District with this week's conservation report for Saturday, September 12th. This morning, I'd like to talk a little bit about soil sampling and fertilizer guidelines in crop production. This time of year, as the crops get harvested, farmers are typically making decisions for next year's crop as far as fertilizer and/or manure applications. Having a current soil sample, which in most cases means results that are less than 3 to 4 years old, can help you decide how much fertilizer or lime to be applied to not only optimize production, but also get the best return on investment. Most of the information I'm providing today is from the University of Minnesota Fertilizer Guidelines for Agronomic Crops. The concept of soil sampling and analysis of samples collected has been the basis of fertilizer recommendations used in crop production for many years. Regardless of the procedure used for the collection of the samples, the results of the laboratory analysis can be confusing. The units used to report the analytical results are not familiar. There are several numbers on the analysis sheet. There is a relationship between the analytical results and fertilizer and lime recommendations. The numbers found on any soil test report are the result of some analytical measurement of the nutrients in the soil. Most soil test labs report this measurement as parts per million. Some laboratories report measurements in terms of pounds per acre, however. The units chosen to report the analytical results do not have any effect on fertilizer guidelines. It is important, however, to be aware of the difference between parts per million and pounds per acre when reading the units associated with the numbers on the soil test report. There are several analytical procedures that can be used to extract plant nutrients from soils, and these procedures used in testing soils are not designed to measure the total amount of any nutrient present in the soil. The procedure used to measure a specific nutrient is selected because it extracts the portion of the total amount of that nutrient that is best related to plant growth. The procedure selected has been developed from considerable research as the one which best predicts the amount of that nutrient in the soil that can be used by plants. The Bray procedure used for measuring phosphorus in acid soils is a good example. Results of considerable research have shown that the amount of phosphorus extracted by this method is the best predictor of the need for phosphorus fertilizer for acid soils. The numbers listed on most soil test reports are usually followed by categories of very low, low, medium, high, and very high. These categories designate the relative level of the nutrient measured and provide a good indication of the probability of an economic increase in yield if fertilizer is applied. For example, if the relative level is classified as being very low, there is a high probability that crop yields will increase if fertilizer is applied. By contrast, no increase in yield from the application of the nutrient would be expected if the relative level in the soil is in the very high range. Not all soil testing labs use the U of M guidelines for the recommendations, but most of the programs that we administer through our office use the U of M guidelines for the best management practice rate. It's important to understand that the number associated with any nutrient on a soil test report is an index value. It's not the amount of nutrient that is available for crop use, and it's not the total amount of a nutrient present in the soil. The number listed is an index value only, and when combined with an expected yield, can be used to develop a fertilizer guideline. So, if for example your soil test phosphorus levels are very high, let's say greater than 25 parts per million, U of M research indicates a 99% probability of no yield response in corn for additional phosphorus fertilizer. And with today's crop economics, I think this is an area where farmers could save significant dollars by soil sampling and at the same time potentially reducing impacts to water quality. As always, if you have questions on any of the topic I'm discussing today, you can always call our office at 320-251-7800 or visit our website, and that's stearnscountyswcd.net. This is Mark Lefebvre from the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District with your conservation report, and thanks for listening.